Hi, this is William here, and today we're going to talk more about pagination from Google's perspective. Sites paginate content in various ways. For example, news and publishing sites often divide a long article into several shorter pages. Retail sites may divide the list of items in a large product category into multiple pages. Discussion forums often break threads into sequential URLs. If you paginate content on your site and you want that content to appear in search results, we recommend one of the following three options. Do nothing. Paginated content is very common, and Google does a good job returning the most relevant pages to users, regardless of whether content is divided into multiple pages. Specify a view all page. Searchers commonly prefer to view a whole article or category on a single page. Therefore, if we think this is what the searcher is looking for, we try to show the view all page in search results. You can add a relative equal chronicle link to the component pages to tell Google that the view all version is the version you want to appear in search results. Use relative next and relative prev links to indicate the relationship between component URLs. This markup provides a strong hint to Google that you would like us to treat these pages as a logical sequence, thus consolidating their linking properties and usually sending searchers to the first page. Using the next and the rel prev, you could use HTML attributes relative equals next and relative equals prev to indicate the relationship between individual URLs. Using these attributes is a strong hint to Google that you want us to treat these pages as a logical sequence. Let's say you have a content paginated into the following URLs. You have a part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. In this case, in the head section of the first page, the article part 1, add a link tag pointing to the next page in the sequence, like this. Link relative next, and then give the reference to part 2. Because this is the first URL in the sequence, there's no need to add markup for relative prev. On the second and third pages, add links pointing to the previous and the next URLs in the sequence. For example, you could add the following to the second page of the sequence. The link is relative prev, and then you give the href to article part 1, and then the link rel equals next, and you give it to article part 3. On the final page of the sequence, HTTP article part 4, add a link pointing to the previous URL, like this, link rel previous, and then reference the part 3 article. Because this is the final URL in the sequence, there's no need to add a relative next link. Google treats rel previous as a syntactic variant of rel prev. Values can be either relative or absolute URLs as allowed by the link tag. If you include a base link in your document, relative paths will resolve according to the base URL. Some things to note: relative prev and relative next acts as hints to Google, not absolute directives. The component page within a series includes parameters that don't change the page's content, such as session IDs, then the rel prev and rel next values should also contain the same parameters. This helps our linking process better match corresponding relative prev and relative next values. For example, the page where we have a session ID 123, page 2 should contain the following: link relative equals prev, and then you're giving the page 1, and then the link relative next, and you're going to give the page 3. So that's the basic way you're going to set these things up. The relative next and relative prev are orthogonal concepts to relative chronicle. You can include both declarations. For example, the page 2 may contain a link relative chronicle, and then the h reference is going to be page 2, and then the link relative prev, and then the h reference is going to be page 1, and then the next link is equal next, and that's going to be page 3. And so if Google finds mistakes in your implementation, for example, if an expected rel prev or rel next designation is missing, we'll continue to index the pages and rely on our own heuristics to understand your content. And that concludes the presentation on more about pagination. This is William, and we'll see you the next time.